Davido.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling from. My name is Jessica Pierce, and I am the founder and CEO of Career Connectors, and I get the honor of being your MC today. So welcome. If you have not introduced yourself in the chat, please do so right now. We have people from all over the US on our call today. I see Texas, Phoenix, Maryland, California, Georgia. We have Ohio, so many great, Kentucky is in here, Minnesota. Hello, you guys. It is so great to have you. Hi, Mark from Kansas. Good morning. We are so excited that you are all here today. You are in the right place at the right time. I don't know your story. I don't know what your specific scenario is that you're going through, but what I can tell you is you're in the right place. You're going to hear a lot of great content today. You're going to leave here encouraged. You're going to leave here with some resources, and you're also going to get an opportunity to meet directly with coaches during our breakout sessions. And so I encourage you to stay for the duration of the call, because at the end of the call, after our speakers, you will get to go out into the breakout rooms to meet with professional certified resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, career coaches, and more. So welcome. If you have not dropped your name in the chat, please do so. We need to hear your name, where you're joining us from, and a little bit about the job that you're looking for if you're in active career transition. So to get used to that, I want to ask just a question. Go ahead and open up your chat screen. It's on the bottom of your screen if you don't have it open yet. Go ahead and open it up. Click on the chat icon. And if you are in active career transition, you are actively looking for a new job, just drop a 1 in the chat. And let's see who is here looking for their next best career.
Fine.
Great. Barbara, you're in the right place. Sasha, you're in the right place. Good morning, Corey and Barbie, David. Hi, you guys. You are all in the right place today. All right, so a little bit about Career Connector. I think I'm muted. I'm sorry. I don't know how long I was muted, but welcome again. So if you are getting into the call, you should have come in muted. If you are not muted, please make sure you are. We're not going to open the call for conversation until the breakout time. So please make sure you stay muted on our call. Thank you so much. I think that's why I went muted, because we muted everybody. But thank you for dropping in that you are in active transition. You guys are in the right place. And if you haven't dropped in your name and where you're calling in from, please go ahead and do so. So Career Connectors is all about building stronger communities. And we do that through empowering you, people in career transition, employers and service providers, making the connections. And so I have this really great analogy that when we go to the gym, some of us sometimes will get a trainer or we'll get a coach or somebody to help us while we're working out. And they'll tell us what to do and they'll provide guidance and support, but we still have to do our push-ups for us to get stronger. My trainer said the other day, the only way that I stay accountable in the gym, unfortunately, is I have to pay a trainer so that I show up and I go. And so the other day she said, okay, today we are going to be doing, I think we were doing deadlifts. And so she was showing me, reminding me how to do them. And I looked at her and I said, we are going to be doing them, or I am going to be doing them, because the reality is we still have to do our own push-ups. Yes, Sasha, push-ups, burpees are my worst nightmare, if you want to be frank here. But so we're going to provide resources and information and support, and you need to go through the steps. And so you're in the right place to make sure that you can have some steps to follow. Okay, so a little bit about what we're going to be doing today, or let me go through some tech stuff. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments for the call today, just drop them in here. Just drop your questions in and we will either get to them during the talk, or during breaks, or we have people moderating and answering questions as we go. We have a whole bunch of career coaches on the line. We have our staff and team. We have volunteers. And so ask your questions and we will do our best to address them. So as far as the display goes, I want you to have the best experience possible. And that is typically if you have the speaker view. So if you're on a computer right now, go up to the top right-hand corner for most of us. It's the top right-hand corner, and there is a view button. If you click on that view button, you'll see side-by-side speaker. And that's the view that will work best for most people. You will see the PowerPoint presentation, and then you will also see the speaker. And I guarantee you're going to want to see our speaker today. She's phenomenal. And so make sure you have that display on the side-by-side speaker view. And then again, stay engaged for the breakout sessions at the end where you can talk to our speakers, you can talk to the career coaches that we have. If you are interested in closed captioning, right at the bottom, there's another icon that says show captions. So utilize that button to have captions showing today. All right, so up is going to pop our agenda today. You're going to hear the initial keynote speak from Jean Brees, and that is unleashing your superpower. You're going to love her story. You're going to love the information she gives you and the encouragement and confidence she is going to provide for you moving forward. We have a special 15-minute talk by about business ownership. One specifically around entrepreneurship and franchising. And so we get a lot of questions around, hey, I got laid off and I'm looking for my next step. A lot of people be like, I've never been in this spot before. I don't know what to do, or I'm getting a lot of rejections and it's so frustrating. I feel alone. And one of those questions based on those two comments there is, what I've thought about maybe doing something on my own, maybe doing a business, trying out a side gig, trying out running my own business. And so occasionally we'll drop in a topic to address that. And today's topic is a short 15-minute talk by Anna Brambilla. That's going to talk about entrepreneurship and specifically on franchising as one of the options. And then I'll come back and provide some resources in closing. And then we'll go into those breakout rooms I was talking about. We have LinkedIn coaches, professional resume writers, professional career coaches. We have somebody that can help on the financial side as far as budgeting, applying for unemployment, those kind of things. And then we have a special room for Best Companies AZ, who has a ton of best companies that they're working for that are hiring. And so they have a lot of jobs that they're going to be featuring today. All right, you guys, I am going to jump right into it because Jean is a powerhouse and has a lot of great content to bring you today. So after more than 25 years creating and leading award-winning teams for a Fortune 10 technology firm, Jean left the corporate world to do what she loves all the time, helping individuals and teams achieve what others think impossible. In 2020, Jean was recognized as one of Phoenix Business Journal's outstanding women in business. And as president of the National Association of Women Business Owners, or NAWBO, she led the Phoenix chapter to receive a Stevie Award for best response to the pandemic by a women-led nonprofit organization. Jean speaks to worldwide audiences about how to conquer change and elevate your skills to achieve breakthrough results. Jean is a dear friend, and we are so grateful to have her back. Please help me welcome Jean Brees. Good morning. Oop, Jean, did we?
I'm speaking into mute because I was following instructions. Good morning, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be with you, and I'd like to welcome you all to Career Connectors. I have so much goodness to share with you today, and I am just going to jump right in with the two things most important to you. Why the heck am I here, and how long is this going to take? So I'm on the agenda until 10 o'clock, and the reason I'm here, if you can relate to this, just go ahead and put a Y in the chat after I say this statement. But the reason that I'm here, how many of you can relate to this? I feel like every day I'm putting in a ton of hours in job search, in career transition thoughts and thinking, and trying to discern this next move and find the right move. I put in a ton of hours, and at the end of the day, I'm tired, maybe I'm stressed, and I'm not even sure if maybe if I'm making any progress towards my goals. If you can relate to that, go ahead. I see that a lot of us can relate to that. And so why I'm here is because I'm going to share with you 5 superpowers. My goal is to give you some inspiration, some information, and lead you to your own transformation, because I want to turn feeling tired and stressed into feeling inspired and blessed. So that's the goal of our time together today. How does that sound? Does that sound good to everybody? I'm not seeing my presentation here. There we go. I am seeing it. I lied. So, not moving. I just want to share a little bit. Jessica gave me a great introduction. Thank you, Jessica. And so you've already heard a little bit about all of my credentials. All of the superpowers that I'm going to share with you come from my experience creating and leading award-winning teams, whether it was in the corporate world, whether it was in the nonprofit world. I founded a nonprofit that supports law enforcement families in Phoenix, Arizona. I did lead the Phoenix chapter for the National Association of Women Business Owners. I volunteered and sit on the board at different other volunteer opportunities in the valley where I live. So all of the superpowers are real life. They come from that. I'm going to share with you the superpowers and how you can use them, how you can engage them in your professional life, as well as in your personal life. I am not a person that believes in work-life balance. I think we should have never started asking ourselves and talking about work-life balance, because we don't have a separate work and a separate life. We have one life. We have one life, and we have to work because we like to eat and we like to have things. So we should be looking for work-life satisfaction. So studies actually tell us now that when things are doing well at work, or at home, I'm more productive at work. When things are going well at work, I'm happier at home. So I'm going to give you, for each one of the superpowers, ways that you can engage them in your professional life, as well as in your personal life, in your job search. You can apply them in many ways. What I want to tell you about the superpowers is that some of it you've heard before, and that's okay, because we all need to be reminded to do the things that are good for us, right? I have a teenager. I have to remind her to clean up her room or she won't do it. But there's value in learning to keep your things neat. So we all need to be reminded. Some of it will be new things, and that's okay too. So all of the superpowers come from my experience. They're going to seem simple, but don't mistake simple for easy. If it was easy, we would all be doing it. So again, they all come from my experience, but probably the most interesting thing in my tenure and my history here, the most interesting thing about me happened when I was 15 years old. When I was 15 years old, my parents were divorced, and I'm the oldest of 4 kids. So my sister was 12, my brothers were 10 and 5. And this happened in December, a couple of weeks before Christmas. And I lived in the Phoenix area in a little suburb called Maryville. So for those of you on the call that know the Maryville area, that's where I was living. And my mom decided to go out on a date one night. And as she was leaving with her date, she turned and she waved goodbye. And she said, "I'll see you in about 3 days." And we thought that was a strange thing to say, but Mom was laughing, so we thought it was a joke, and she took off. And we went about our business, went to bed, got up the next morning, Mom hadn't come home. So day 1 came and went, Mom didn't come home. Day 2 came and went, Mom didn't come home. Day 3 came and we thought, yay, it's day 3. We thought Mom was kidding, but it's day 3, Mom's coming home. Day 3 came and went, Mom didn't come home. Day 4, day 5, and now it's about a week before Christmas. And we are starting to run out of food. You know, there's 4 kids in the house. And I'm the oldest, so I feel like I need to do something. Now, Everybody on the call, do you guys know Mr. Rogers? Are you familiar with Mr. Rogers? If you're not, he's a children's psychologist that had a TV show, amazing, amazing man. And there's a video that's often pulled out and shown when something catastrophic happens in our world. If there's a big tsunami or a big hurricane, or like the fires right now that are burning down Maui, you'll often see this video pulled out and shared. And it's him being interviewed by a news director about when he was a little boy and he would see bad news on the TV, and his mother would tell him, look for the helpers, look for the helpers. So I'm running out of food. I need help. So I go to the payphone down the street, not to date myself, but I go to the payphone down the street and I call for help. And the social worker came out. And the first thing the social worker said to me was, Jean, it is a week before Christmas. At any time of year, it's difficult to take care of our families, but a week before Christmas, all of the resources that we have to help families like yours have already been allocated. We don't have any more resources to help your family. So I need you to prepare yourself and your siblings, because they thought it would be better if my siblings heard it from me. We need you to prepare yourself and your siblings for the fact that there will be no Christmas celebration for your family. No Christmas feast, no Christmas gifts, no Christmas celebration. And this was difficult to hear, because even though I was 15, what your mind knows and what your heart feels don't always align. My dad had already left us. My mother had just abandoned us. And now they're telling me that even Santa's not coming. And we all know why Santa doesn't come. We must be some really bad kids. Second thing that the social worker said to me was, Jean, it's a week before Christmas. At any time of year, it's very difficult to put 4 kids from the same family into the same place. So we need you to prepare yourself and your siblings for the fact that we are going to have to split you up. Now, if the first news was difficult, this is devastating. Everything that we knew to be true in our world had just blown up. Nothing was true anymore. Nothing that we thought was true seemed to be true anymore. It felt like the only thing we had left was each other, and now they want to take that away from us too. So, as you might imagine, I became a little bit angry. I was 15, so I have a 15-year-old, so I can say this. I was 15, so I knew better than anybody else because I was smarter than everybody else. And so between my arrogance at thinking how smart I was and my anger, feeling like adults had caused all of the problems in my life, I decided I no longer had use for any adults. And I kind of became like the Grinch. I'm done. I'm done with adults. I have no use for you, and I'm angry, and I'm just closing myself off. So I don't know exactly how, but the arrangements were made to keep us together until after Christmas. And they put us in a little trailer in a trailer park. And it was like the 23rd or 24th of Christmas of December. And I see a car pull up, and I see the social worker get out. And another car pulls up behind her, and adults start getting out of this car. Well, I don't do adults anymore. So I head to the very, very far back of the trailer, the very far back bedroom, as far as I could get away from everybody, and I assumed the position. Like the Grinch, nobody's getting through to me. And the social worker came in and she said, Jean, please come out. There's some people here. They would like to meet you. They've heard about you. They've heard about your family. And they have some things for you all, and they just would really like to meet you. And I said, no, I'm not going out. I don't do adults, and I'm not meeting anybody. And she's like, you don't have to stay long. Just come out and say hi. And I said, no, I'm not going out. And I never went out. I never saw them. But it didn't stop them from doing what they came to do. So these helpers came, and they brought food, and they brought gifts, and they brought unconditional love, which we didn't even know existed. And they brought the greatest gift that you can give somebody. They brought the gift that none of us can live without. Every single one of us on this call, every single one of us in the world need this gift. They brought us hope. They brought us hope. So even though they never got to see my face, even though I was not a gracious receiver, because I was in the middle of the struggle. And when you are in the middle of the struggle, all of your energy, all of your resources is just trying to keep breathing. You don't have energy and resources to be courteous, to be a gracious receiver. And I was in that space in the middle of the struggle. And I know many of you might be feeling like you're in the struggle right now. It's okay, because life is a series of transitions, and we are either in a transition, or we've just come through a transition, or we are about to go through a transition. And when you're in the transition, it feels like a struggle. But these helpers came, and even though I was not a gracious receiver, they left their gifts, and they touched my life. When I look at my life today, and I look back on that moment, that was a pivotal moment in my life. It was a life-changing moment, because it was in that moment that I made a decision that I was going to live a good life, and I was going to become one of the helpers. Why do I share my story with you guys? You're probably wondering, what the heck does this have to do? Well, again, I know that you may be in a struggle right now. Our world is in a transition right now. So many of us are in a struggle right now because we are transitioning to this new post-COVID life. And COVID changed everything. It changed everything, the way we work, the way we play, the way we care for our children and our elders. Our values have shifted, our priorities have shifted, and that's caused many of us to rethink what is important to me, and what do I want to do, and how do I get more work-life satisfaction. The other reason I share that with you is because you have the opportunity. I want to share with you that the secret to all success, the secret to living a life that you love all the time, was in that moment. And again, it sounds simple, but it's not easy. The secret to all success, the secret to you living a life that you love all the time, make up your mind what it is that you want and put in the work. Make up your mind what that looks like and put in the work. And again, it sounds simple, but the reason National Bureau of Economic Research did a survey, and they found that 98% of us will die and never live a life we love. That means only 2% of us. We've got 145 people on here, which means what, 3 of us are living a life we love all the time? That's not good. I want all of us to live a life we love all the time. And the secret to doing that is make up your mind what that looks like and be willing to put in the work. So that is why I'm going to share with you these 5 superpowers. They will help you move in that direction. Don't assume that once you make up your mind, it's a straight path up. It's a straight path forward. That's not how life works. Life is peaks and valleys. So make up your mind, start putting in the work, and you will have peaks and valleys. And that's okay, because I am happy to tell you, you couldn't get any lower than I was at that point in time. I did not go into foster care. I became a kid on the street, homeless teenager on the street by myself. So I had absolutely nothing. And today I live a life that I love all the time. And so I'm one of those people in the 2%. So we can get there. We just have to be willing to make up our minds and put in the work and go through the peaks and valleys. If you're in the struggle right now, keep persevering. Many times that light is right on the other side of our darkest moment. So wherever you're at in this transition, keep pushing through. I promise you will break through. All right. So are we ready to talk about the superpowers? Oh, the other thing I want to share with you real quick before we move into the superpowers, the other reason I share that story is because it illustrates the importance of kindness. Those strangers who came when I didn't have the energy and resources to be kind were there for me when I needed the kindness, even though I couldn't reciprocate, even though I was arrogant, even though I didn't recognize the kindness being offered to me. And so I can never go back and thank them, but I want to pay it forward. And I know right now you all have opportunities to be kind every day, but I also know you're in the struggle. And I just want to encourage you that the person I want you to be the kindest with is yourself. Be kind with yourself. And we will talk more about that as we get into the superpowers. So let's move into the superpowers. And I'm clicking.
Jean, do you see the arrows at the bottom? There you go. Bree can move forward if you don't see those arrows.
Yeah, we're going to skip this slide. It's self-evaluation. As we're in this transition, there's a lot of, everybody else is evaluating us, so we are not going to do that. Let's back up. I don't know what's happening here. I'm sorry.
Just as Jean is doing that, you guys, she's in the middle of a move. She didn't say that, but her whole house is empty, and she was still able to show up for us today. So Jean, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm a little discombobulated. That's why my walls behind me are blank. So I'm in the middle of my own life transition right now. So, all right. So let's talk superpowers. Superpower number one is the power of habits. Habits have enormous power in our lives. They have power that can be fantastic, good in our lives, and they can have consequences that we don't necessarily like my little girlfriend here. The thing is, we all have lots of routines, rhythms that we go through every single day. We probably have a rhythm or a habit for how we start our day. Maybe I get up and after I get my coffee and roll out of bed, I take the dog for a walk. Or maybe I come home at the end of the day and I watch football for a couple of hours. All of these rhythms and routines put together become the fabric of our lives. And the reason that habits have so much power in our lives is because those who study the neuroscience of the brain will tell you that, my gosh, you guys, my mind is not working today. Those who study your brain will tell you that there's this real thing called decision fatigue. Your brain can only make so many decisions, so many quality decisions in a day. That's why you'll see people like Steve Jobs. He always wore the same outfit. He always had a uniform, if you will, because that was a decision he didn't have to make. He could save that decision making for something else that was more important. So when something is a habit, I don't have to think about it. That's why they have so much power in our lives. If my goal is to be fit, if I have a habit of rolling out of bed and going to the gym, then I don't have to think about it. So just as an example, so if we want to change our lives, we start with examining our habits, because there's great power in what we do as a routine or as a habit. So let's look at our habits. I told you that this is Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympic athlete in the history of the Olympics. He has tied with Simone Biles for gold medals, but for overall medals, he is the most decorated Olympic athlete ever. And I love to study people who do the extraordinary. If you look at Michael Phelps, he credits his athletic success, his Olympic success, to the power of his habits. And I was fascinated by that. I wanted to see what they were. So I looked it up. You can do that too. You can search him on Google. But he has two habits that he credits his athletic success to that we can learn and use from to level up our own lives. And the first one is he's banished the words, I can't. Nobody who works for him, nobody who works around him or on his team, and he doesn't allow himself, you don't say I can't. It's not an option. Easy to feel how we would do that in our own personal lives. We banish the words I can't. I want you to think about it in terms of how we can do that in our job search and how we can do that when we land that dream position, whatever it may be, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, how you'll be able to use that superpower of banishing I can't. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I've done some work with them. They have a culture, they call it FOTSI. FAWTSY. And it stands for find a way to say yes. The Diamondbacks know that they don't have a ball club without their fans. If there's no fans, they won't have the money that they need to build a stadium, to pay their players. So they always function from find a way to say yes. And what that looks like is if you go to the ball game and you've purchased tickets in the nosebleed seats and you go down to the lower level because you see vacant seats there, the ushers are trained to take your ticket and to say to you, hey, thanks for coming to the game today. We're really excited to welcome you to the Diamondbacks. We've reserved seats for you that you purchased up here. And we have reserved seats down here for somebody else that may have already purchased those seats. But I'll tell you what, it's early in the game. If you come back at the bottom of the sixth or the top of the seventh inning, if those tickets are still there, if those people haven't shown up, we'll go ahead and let you sit there. So they found a way to say yes while minimizing the risks to the organization. You can do that in your own job search. And I'm going to give you an example. When I first left the corporate world and decided that I wanted to become a motivational speaker, I was on the phone with somebody. I came from the IT background. I worked for AT&T for many, many years. I'm on the phone with somebody in the healthcare industry, and she said, do you provide CEUs? And my immediate thought was, no, I don't provide CEUs. I'm a speaker. I speak. I didn't even know what CEUs were. Well, I didn't say what was on my mind. I said, let me check and do some research and I'll get back to you. And so I got on my friend Google and found out that continuing educational units was what they were looking for. And all I had to do was write a synopsis about what I talk about. And now I provide CEUs. So I was able to call her back and get that job. So find a way to say yes in your job search, and don't automatically say, I don't do that or I can't do that. Maybe you didn't do it in that same traditional sense, but maybe you've had some experience in another sense or in another way. Get creative, find a way to say yes, and banish I can't from your vocabulary. The other thing that Michael Phelps does that we can learn from is he practices envisioning success. And his coach will tell you that he does that better than anybody he's ever seen. And the reason that works is, again, those who study the brain will tell you that your brain can't distinguish that which you are imagining from that which is really happening. So Vince Lombardi, famous football coach, winning football coach, has a quote that says, winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. Well, we know which side we want to be on. We want to be on the winning side. The thing about envisioning success is it trains your brain for winning. And what Michael Phelps does that's different, that makes him stand out over everybody else that uses this power of envisioning success, is he doesn't just visualize himself winning. He envisions the obstacles that he's likely to encounter. And he envisions himself overcoming those obstacles. And it makes such good sense. If you've ever watched the Olympics, they shoot the gun, everybody dives in, everybody wants to win, nobody's holding back, everybody's giving it their all. So I've always wondered, if somebody passes another person, where does that extra come from? If I'm already giving it my all, how do I kick in more when somebody passes me? Well, Michael Phelps has trained his body to react. He doesn't have to think about it. When somebody passes him, his body just kicks in because he's envisioned it so many times. So envision success, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through here. Okay, so we're going to take those from Michael Phelps. And I told you earlier about the National Bureau of Economic Research and how only 2% of us are living a life we love all the time. Well, these are the habits of those people who live a life they love all the time. So let's look at their habits against ours to see where we might be able to tweak and level up. So the first habit that I want to talk about is, how do you start your day? Go ahead and type in the chat here. How do you start your day? And we don't need to hear you get your coffee or you get your shower, but when you're ready to start your job search or your current job, or you're ready to start thinking about job transition, how do you get started? What do you do? I love the fitness and the stretching, pray. Love to make my bed. Anybody start with email? Cuss about nursing. Did I see force myself onto the computer? Did I see that one? I went by so fast. Well, here's some interesting things. About 90% of Americans start their day with email. I want you to think about how you start your day. What happens if you start your day with email? What happens if you start your job search with email? When you get into email, you get sucked right in. Email is a reactive habit, and it's not bad, but I don't know that it's the best way to start our day. If we start reactive, we're likely to stay reactive all day long. If we start in email, we can be busy and we can be in email and sitting at our computer all day long, and we can be very busy, but there is a difference between busy and productive. And we don't want to be busy. Our American culture, we love to say, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. And we have to quit saying that. That is nothing to brag about. We don't want to be busy. We want to be productive so that we can live a life we love all the time. So the thing about starting an email is it's easy because it's reactive. But if I stay in email, I'm working on something that's important to somebody else. It's not the things that are important to me. So I want you to consider having a proactive habit for starting your day. So maybe the proactive habit is meditation. I saw that. I saw prayer. I saw stretching. Find a proactive way to start your day, because studies tell us if you start proactive, you're likely to stay proactive all day long. If you start in a reactive habit, you're likely to stay reactive all day long. So give some thought to how you start your day. Fitness plan. We all know we need a fitness plan. We all know that we need to be fit. The thing I want to mention to you is we tend to think of fitness in terms of our physical fitness only. But we are not just a physical body. We are physical and we are spirit. And studies tell us if you have a habit for nourishing both, for growing and evolving both, you will be a happier person. You will actually be a more productive person. Now, things that nourish your spirit, things like meditation, things like prayer, things like getting a walk in nature, things like maybe it's something that you read. So I encourage you, do you have a habit for physical and spiritual growth? Self-talk. Well, we've already talked about we're going to ban I can't. The most important words that you will hear every day are the words you say to yourself. The most important words you hear every day are the words you say to yourself. Why? Because we believe the things that we tell ourselves. So my question for you is, are the words that you're saying to yourself empowering you, living a life you love all the time, or are they holding you back? Make sure that the words that you say to yourself every day are empowering that life you love, that life that you love all the time. And talk to yourself like you are your own best friend. Our friends don't let us put ourselves down. Our friends don't let us say those bad things about us that come right to our head. Talk to yourself like you're your own best friend. Time wasters and distractions. What's our biggest time wasters today? Anybody want to tell me in the chat, what's our biggest time wasters? TV, web, social media. How about this little guy here, the cell phone? And I can say that because I worked for the company that invented this stuff. Yeah, all of these things that you're putting here. Here's an interesting statistic for you. University of California did a study. They found that every time we are interrupted from something we're working on, even if it's a very brief interruption, every time we're interrupted, we lose 23 minutes of productivity. 23 minutes. What does that mean? That means the average American worker is losing 6 minutes a day of productivity, and we are losing 30 hours a week of productivity. 30 hours a week. What could you do with an extra 30 hours? So I want to encourage you to set some healthy boundaries. I talked earlier about find a way to say yes. And sometimes people will call me afterwards and they'll say, Jean, I don't need to find a way to say yes. I need to learn how to say no. There is a difference between finding a way to say yes to the things that will help promote living a life you love and help promote you finding that dream position. Find a way to say yes to those things. Set some healthy boundaries around everything else, especially the time wasters and distractions. We can easily be pulled in many ways, and it's easy for us to say yes to a lot of those things. But if I'm working towards living a life I love, and I know clearly what that goal is, I need to make sure that my time and my productivity is focused on those important things that help me get there. So put some healthy boundaries around the distractions. One way to do that, if apps, all of these apps we have on our phone, they like to send alerts. And we think we need to respond to those because they feel urgent. That's why they put them on there, because they want us to engage. There's a difference between urgent and important. And the best way to be productive towards whatever your goal is to have uninterrupted time where you're working towards that goal. Turn off those notifications. I don't have any notifications turned on, any alarms. I can still pick up my phone and look and see if I have messages, but I don't let other people's items take me away from the important things that I'm working on. You can put do not disturb on, you can turn it off, you can turn it to silent. There's a lot of ways to put healthy boundaries around the distractions that we have. Okay, I lost my slide with all my stuff on it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here that it's not letting me advance and go back.
Bree, can you forward for her, please?
Yeah, there we go. Say, okay, this habit takes the longest. The rest won't take that long to go through. So, but we're going to keep going here. Waiting for the future. Many times I see people who say, I'm going to write a book when, I'm going to start a nonprofit when. Here's the truth. Do you know when your life gets better? Your life gets better when you do. Our lives get better when we do. Let's be better now. Let's don't wait. If writing a book is something that is going to be good for me, let's start writing now. Write every day. Set aside 30 minutes and start writing. If starting a nonprofit is good for me, it's something that I want to do and I've discerned and I'm feeling called to do, start it now. Your life gets better when you do. Let's don't wait for the future. Okay, growth mindset. Hugely, hugely important. Everything is growing or dying. A tree, a plant, it's growing or dying. A relationship, a marriage, it's growing or dying. A business, it's growing or dying. If you don't have a habit for consistently evolving, the best that you can hope for is that you will get outgrown. Sometimes our knowledge and our experience we can think, I know how to do that. And so it can close our minds. The danger in that is it can close our minds to what's possible. We want to come to everything we do with curiosity. So I encourage you, do you have a habit for consistently evolving, consistent growth? And you come to every task you do with curiosity, like you've never done it before. Maybe there's a better way that we can do our job search. Maybe there's something new since the last time I was in this position, because our world has changed. So seek out these people who are doing this every day in the breakouts and be curious. How can I be better, faster, smarter, different in my job search? And for me, how I manage growth, my growth habit is I put it on my calendar. It's on my calendar every Friday. If I'm not speaking, I have an hour blocked where I'm reading, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to another motivational speaker, so that I make sure that I'm consistently growing and evolving myself. The last two habits on here are on here because these are the habits of everybody who is living a life they love, that 2%, and they spend at least part of their time and part of their money helping others. So that's just for your knowledge. Okay, so what I want you to do with this, how we're going to engage this in your own lives, is I want you to take a minute and I want you to share with us in the chat. We're going to start with a positive habit because our minds have a negativity bias. If we have 90,000 thoughts a day, 87,000 of them are negative. If we want to be positive, we have to be intentional. We have to be intentional with our time. We have to be intentional with our thoughts. So we're going to start with positive thoughts. What is your most positive habit? And just share that with us in the chat. I love these things, prayer, journaling, getting a walk. I love these things that you guys are posting. Awesome. We can all take a lesson from them. These are great positive habits. After you've thought about your positive habits, what I want you to do, and Bree, if you'll go to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. And then click, I think twice. So we've done best habit. What's a life-changing habit? You don't need to share this, but I want you to write it down for yourself. What is a life-changing habit for the good that you want to implement? What is a life-changing habit for the good that you would like to implement? If you have not read the book Atomic Habits, one of the main point of the book is that many times we fail when we're trying to start a new habit because we want to go to the end. And he encourages you, write your goal for your new habit, but tomorrow be 1% better than you are today. Just be 1% better. Anybody can do 1%. I recently completed a swimming challenge, and I'm born and raised in the desert. I didn't learn how to swim. I don't feel confident in the water. But 1%, if I swim for 10 minutes, can I do 1% more tomorrow? One more minute? Yeah, anybody can do 1%. So find that life-changing habit for the good, and tomorrow do 1% more. And then the next day do 1% more. And each day you'll find that at the end of the year, that will have grown exponentially, and it'll be easier for you to achieve that habit. Okay, next slide. Superpower number 2, the power of purpose. I read an article in Fortune Inc. It was talking about the #1 trait that recruiters are looking for when they're going to hire a new CEO. So they're going to hire a new leader for the company. What's the #1 trait they're looking for? And it's purpose. Why is that? Because when you have clarity in your purpose, when you know and walk in your purpose, people will follow you. When you have clarity and know and walk in your purpose, you can influence others to take action. The problem is, we in America are a culture of doers. We do. We go. We get. So, Bree, if you'll go to the next slide, we often go to school and we get out of school and we get a job. And as soon as we get a job, we get stuff. And as soon as we get stuff, we got to buy stuff for our stuff. I got the car, I need the fuzzy dice. And we rarely stop and figure out who we are. Here's a truth for you. There are over 7 billion people in this world. There is no one that has the same gifts that you do. Your gifts, with your skill, with your experience, with your talent, with your knowledge. And when you use your gifts with your skill and talent and experience and knowledge, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when the magic happens. Do you know what your gifts are? If you don't know what your gifts are, I encourage you to spend some time in meditation or prayer or with another mentor or with another person that you trust, or just giving yourself some time to understand, what are my gifts? Look to the things that you are passionate about. Often our gifts can be found in those things that we're passionate about, those things that we can do all day long and never get tired of. Your gifts were given to you when you were born, and they were given to you to fulfill your purpose. Now I'm going to tell you a story because I hope it will help you. But if your gifts, you've always had them with you. If you looked at 10-year-old Jean Breeze, I was asking all the kids in the neighborhood, what do you want to do when you grow up? And one of the kids said, I want to be Miss America. We held the Miss 35th Street pageant. One of the kids said they wanted to be an actor. I wrote a play. I was always helping folks try to achieve what they dream. So whatever your gift is, it's been with you your whole life. So spend some time, figure out what your gifts are and how you can use those. Now, how we're going to put this, go to the next slide. No, don't go yet. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. How you're going to put this to action, I want you to write down this is your task. I want you to send an email out to 5 to 7 people. And I want you to ask them this question. I'm working on some job search and leadership development for myself. Please share with me 3 things that I do really well and 1 thing I could be better. Please share with me 3 things I do really well and 1 thing I could be better at. Now, if you send this to 7 people, they can be friends, they can be family, they can be people you work with or worked with in the past, they can be people you worked for, they can be people that worked for you, people you volunteer with. I personally sent it out to 7 people in different areas of my life because I wanted to see how I showed up in different areas of my life. The great thing is you're going to get, if you send it to 7, you're going to get back 21 things you do really well. And that's awesome. We all need to hear that right now. So I printed those things. I keep them in a file. If I'm having a bad day, I pull them out and I'm like, yeah, look at all these things I do really well. So look at the things you do really well. What I want you to do, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to focus on the thing that you need to improve. That is the amateur move, because we are a society that loves the spectacular. So let's say that I am mediocre at spreadsheets. If I were to put a plan in place and get better at spreadsheets, I'm probably going to be okay. So what? So what? That doesn't help me. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help my job search. That doesn't help an organization that I'm working for. So what? We want to pick something that we're already strong at and become amazing. Put a plan in place to become amazing at it. So we can go to the next slide now, Bree. Thank you. Put a plan in place to become amazing at it. In my own life, I did this. I asked every sales manager who ever worked for me to do this. And when I first did it, I was leading a sales team of about 150 people. We had turned it around. When I took over the team, they weren't profitable. They weren't hitting their sales numbers. There was a lot of unhappiness. People didn't want to be part of the team. And now everything's great. We're making money. We're hitting our sales numbers. We're winning awards. Everybody wants to be on our team. And I sent this out. And I wanted people to tell me things that I was good at that I could put on my resume. And what kept coming back as the thing I'm good at was Jean cares, Jean cares, Jean cares. And I was mad. I can't put that on my resume. Hire me as director of sales because I care. The reason I'm sharing that story with you is because I don't want you to do what I did. I didn't give enough credit and credence to that gift. That's my gift. That is exactly why all of my teams were award-winning teams. That is exactly why I have extremely loyal clients that come back to me year after year. That is exactly all of my success is because I care. When you care about everybody on the team being the best version of themselves, the team will do things that other people think are impossible. Whatever comes back to you as your gift, I want you to embrace it, and I want you to put a plan in place to become amazing at it. I didn't believe that I could make money by caring. That's exactly why I make money. I didn't believe that people would hire me because I care. That's exactly why they hire me. Whatever comes back, don't listen to popular culture. Whatever comes back as your gift, embrace that and put a plan in place to become amazing at it. Okay, let's move on to superpower number 3. And I'm still not clicking anywhere, Bree. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, superpower number 3, the power of your beliefs. We have all seen, I'm going to see if I can do this again. Nope, still not letting me move. We've all seen something like this. Oops. Some people say it's 2 faces. Some people say it's a table. Some people say it's a vase or a vase. Are all of those things true? Yes, all of those things are true. Here's the thing about our beliefs. Our belief is nothing more than a conclusion that we've come to. So I like to say there are 2 kinds of truth. There are truths with a capital T. There is an ultimate truth. But many times we get hung up on what I call the lowercase t truths. So here's some examples of some lowercase t truths. I can't. We've already talked about that. We're banishing that. What if I fail? Try it anyway. So what? We'll talk about that in a minute. That's not the way we do it. If you are going to do something that's never been done before, if you are going to do something extraordinary, if you are going to move into a new area, I saw some of you in the chat when you joined that said, I'm looking at changing, pivoting to something new. I'm looking at, should I do something I've never done before? There will be people who will be your naysayers, and they will say things to you like, that's not the way we do it. And the close cousin of that's not the way we do it, I already know that. I already know that. Don't get hung up on that. Ignore that. I shouldn't get my hopes up. It won't make a difference. And the big one, I'm not fill in the blank enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not experienced enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not pretty enough. Whatever it is, you already know it. Because those who study the brain, they have actually taken MRIs of the brain, and they can see that we have thought these thoughts so much that they have made a track in our brain that shows up on an MRI. And what that means is when we're confronted with an obstacle, our brain is going to automatically send that message to us. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. It happened to me when I decided to leave the corporate world and I wanted to start my own business as a speaker. I would often feel I'm not educated enough. I've been speaking for 8 years. Nobody has ever asked me what my education is. It was my own limiting belief. So how we put this into action in our own lives is we're going to use that Michael Phelps power of envisioning. So I want you at home to write down your statement. I'm not enough. You know what it is. Write down what it is for you that keeps you from moving forward. And what you're going to do with that, not right now, but do this later, is we are going to envision it like we're watching a movie. So you take your statement that's your limiting belief, I'm not educated enough, and you find the absolute truth. You can find the absolute truth through another person, a trusted mentor. You can find it in something you read. You can find it in prayer or meditation, but find the absolute truth. For me, the absolute truth was I have everything I need. And what we do is you close your eyes, you see yourself in the struggle like you're watching a movie, and you watch it. And then you invite the absolute truth in and see how it changes the picture. And then I want you to write that down every day. Write down that absolute truth. Put it right where you're going to see it every day. And I want you to see it. I want you to speak it because there is power in the spoken word. And I want you to envision it until you have trained your brain to send that absolute truth instead of that limiting belief. And that will happen. It will become a habit. You're not going to stop your brain from sending the message. The track is already in your brain, but we're going to change the message it sends. So that's how we'll put this one into practice. Okay. Superpower number 4 is the power of people. We've already talked about this one. Let's keep going. We are not meant to go through this alone. I'm glad that you're all here. Do you know that there's a statistic, and I don't have it at my fingertips right now because everything's packed up, but something like 85% of all job seekers find their job by networking, and we network with other people. So right now, I also want to share with you a couple of things that I think are super important. The National Bureau of Economic Research found that doubling your friends in real life, not online, in real life, doubling the number of friends in your circle has the same effect on your well-being as giving yourself a raise. So we want to put ourselves out there. I don't believe in just doubling friends in our life just to double them. I believe in being intentional about everything I'm doing. So let's double our friends with the right people. If I want to write a book, do I have authors in my circle? If I want to start a nonprofit organization, do I have people in my circle that have started a nonprofit? It's so easy to add folks to our circle. If I'm looking to get a new position, I saw some folks in the chat that were looking to get a position in the call center industry. They want to get a leadership position. Really easy way to expand our circle in that industry. Every industry, every role has an association. Find that association. They have meetings. Go to those meetings. You will be exposed to hundreds of people there. Here's something even better. Volunteer to help at one of those meetings. If I'm an introvert, I can volunteer because everybody has to check in and register. Now I get to meet everybody who comes through the door. And there are movers and shakers in that industry that are showing up at these meetings, and you'll be in front of hundreds of them. Get out there, get in front of more people, expand your network of people. And it will have a great impact on your well-being, but can also help you land that next best position. Okay, and then on this slide, it says if you hang out with chickens, you're going to cluck. If you hang out with eagles, you're going to fly. To me, that doesn't mean chickens are better or eagles are better. What it means is if I'm looking to do something new, I have to look at my circle. Do I need to expand my circle so that I have room in my circle for the new thing I'm trying to do? And again, a practical example, when I left the corporate world, everybody I knew was a professional in the corporate world. Now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a solo entrepreneur. Do I have people in my circle that are female solo entrepreneurs? I didn't. Everybody I knew. Doesn't mean that those professional people are bad. They're still in my circle. Doesn't mean I kick them out of my circle, but it means I need to add people in my circle who are doing what I want to be successful at. So an easy way to do this, folks, is to use LinkedIn. Use the resources, because you can go on LinkedIn and search for whatever kind of people you need to get into your circle and find them. You can find them by geography, you can find them by role, you can find them by interest. Use those tools and resources. I think it's the most underutilized resource we have. And people like to talk about themselves. Send them a message. I want to connect with you. I'm looking to do what you do. You're already successful in this industry. I want to be successful too. So just some tips. If you're going to an event, again, be intentional. Who do you want to meet at the event? If I'm going to an event, I'm a speaker. Event planners hire speakers. So you can go online with most events today and see who's registered. If I can see who's registered and who's the event planners, those are the people I want to meet. I can go onto LinkedIn and see who I know that might know them. Then I can pick up the phone and call, hey, Jennifer, I see that you're going to the event and you know Catherine. Could you introduce me? Now I don't have to think of something witty to say to Catherine because one of her friends is going to introduce me. Use those tools. So use the power of people in your job search, use it in your life. Let's keep going. Sorry. This is just saying we aren't meant to do this alone. Everybody having a coach, having a mentor does not mean that person knows more than you. It means they're there to help you stay on track. They're there to remind you when you have a limiting belief that is not a limiting belief. That's a false, it's a lowercase t. Maybe it was true in the season, it's not true anymore. They're there to remind you of all that. We want to have coaches and mentors in our life because they help us stay on track. So here's some famous coaches. Luke had Yoda, Katniss had Haymitch, Daniel had Mr. Miyagi, Wonder Woman had General Antiope. Even the Kung Fu Panda had that little white thing. So the question is, who is leading you? Who's leading you? Who are you learning from? If you don't have a mentor, I encourage you to get a mentor. All right. So here's your what I want you to write down. These are your takeaways. Who do you need to meet? And who are you going to ask to be your mentor or get a coach? And then we're on our last superpower, the power of action. Everything else I've said to you doesn't matter if we don't move into action. The superpowers work when we work them. Again, at the beginning, make up your mind what your best life looks like and put in the work. In order to put in the work, we got to move into action. Studies tell us only 10% of people move into action. Again, that means only 14 of you would move into action. I want all of you to move into action. The reason we don't move into action is fear. And what do you guys think we fear? We fear failure. What if I fail? I want you to give yourself permission to fail. That is the secret to success. Nobody who's done anything extraordinary started out extraordinary. We take action, we fail, we learn, and we adjust. Right out of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's not Gene Breeze. That's the option. And I like to share a quick story. I was watching America's Got Talent, and this group came on, and they were from a small town in Austria. They were ordinary people. They did not have any training, any professional training in gymnastics, acrobatics, or dance. And they put on this performance. They were people of all ages, little kids, all the way up. I don't even know how old the oldest was, but they had people of all ages. They put on this amazing show. They got the golden buzzer. Everybody's wowed because nobody had ever seen anything like it. It was full of acrobatics and gymnastics and dance, and it was amazing. And my daughter, who was 10 at the time, looked at me and said, I wonder how many fails that took. I wonder how many fails, because that's how we become amazing. We take action and we fail and we learn. Give yourself permission. It's not the end of the world. Failure isn't the end, it's the middle. If you're feeling like a failure in your job search right now, you are in the middle. It's not the end. Keep pushing forward. You'll get there. Okay. Here's your 5 superpowers: habits, action, people, purpose, your beliefs. Don't feel like you need to write these down. I'm going to show you how to get this slide sent to you. What I want you to do, I've had you write down a whole bunch of things. I want you to commit to take action. Pick one thing. Pick the one Jedi move. What's the one thing of all the things we've talked about that's going to have the biggest impact in your life? And promise yourself, make a commitment to yourself, put it on your calendar. You're going to do this in the next 24 hours. And the way to do that is to put it on your calendar. I hope you guys found this valuable. I know we need to get to another speaker, so I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to leave this QR code here. If you go to with your phone on this QR code and enter this happy, you will get all the slides sent to you. It's also got a quick survey, but I don't want to take this away. So maybe go to that link and then we'll go to the next speaker. You guys can do that later. Do the survey later. All right. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. How about a virtual round of applause for Jean? Drop it in the chat. Thank you. I would love to see which habit of the 5 that you are going to be focusing on in the next week. So, which superpower: habits, action, purpose, people, or your beliefs. Drop it in the chat so we can see which one you guys will be focusing on. I personally am going to be doing your beliefs. Career Connector started off as a belief. Everyone thought I was completely nuts because I didn't have a job and wasn't working and had closed a business and wasn't bringing in income, but I wanted to volunteer. So it was my belief, my husband's belief in what I was doing, and then some really good friends and partners, some who are on the call, that helped get this going. We're doing a new thing right now where we're renting out our pool and backyard on this app called Swimply. People think we're crazy. And I can tell you, in the last 60 days, we've met 150 people that have changed our lives. And it's incredible. So that action is so important. And so people can think you're crazy. It doesn't matter. If you feel called to do it, take the action and start the path. Jean, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being here while you are in transition yourself. We really, really appreciate you. All right. If you are not connected with us on LinkedIn yet, please, let's do that. Drop in your LinkedIn URL in the chat while you're doing this next call or the next talk with Anna. We will connect with you. I would love for you guys to connect with each other. And it's really a great way. I think somebody dropped in the chat, your network is worth your net worth. Jean talked about getting a job through other people. It's all about the connections. So let's drop in our LinkedIn URLs. I'll put the instructions on how to do that. You want to make sure your LinkedIn URL is showing up blue. That makes it clickable because our chat cannot be copied due to privacy issues. Also, multiple people have asked, is this PowerPoint presentation going to be sent out? Here's what we do. We do not send out the PowerPoint specifically because of intellectual property purposes. However, we send an email to everybody that was registered with the link to this Zoom call. So you can go back and watch it. You can fast forward. You can get the content you need. All right. Thanks so much for dropping in your LinkedIn URL. And I would like to introduce you all to Anna Brambilla. She has more than 20 years experience in the field of career transition, and she has been a career coach, a recruiter, outplacement consultant, and a relocation expert. She's also worked in the corporate world in finance and software management, project management, and she has an MBA in finance and management from the University of San Francisco. But in 2017, she was looking for something different and just so happened to attend a workshop on franchise options. And she really loved that concept. So she is all about helping people make the matches. She's not on the romantic side of matchmaking, but on the career side of matchmaking, because she knows it can be confusing. So she is a great coach, and we're so honored to have her here as career ownership coach. She really works hard to understand her clients, and she's been a franchise owner herself since 2017. She's going to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be a business owner and one of the options as franchising. So please help me welcome Anna Brambilla.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It's so great to be here with everyone. And I am so thrilled to be here. And what Jessica didn't mention, which I'm one of my proudest accomplishments, is that I am a corporate sponsor of Career Connectors and have been now for 3 years, something like that. And just love it. I just am so happy to be part of Career Connectors and part of this network. And so I thank you for having me, and thank you for our wonderful partnership. I have worked with many, I don't think we're up to 100 yet, but certainly many dozen Career Connectors clients, and I just love it. And so let me tell you a little bit about what I do. I work with you to help you figure out what's best for you. Fundamentally, that's what I do. I have a background, as Jessica mentioned, in career transition. So I know what it's like to be a recruiter. I know what it's like to be an outplacement coach, and I bring that experience. But right now, I help people explore business ownership generally and franchise business ownership very specifically, simply as an option. So a handful of things, and I'm going to jump in and give you some stories about some clients that have happened recently. So most people think franchising, they think, I don't have millions of dollars and I don't want to open a McDonald's, and that's wonderful. I don't have millions of dollars and I don't want to open a McDonald's. Let me tell you, that's just not what's right for me. Instead, what I do is I help people explore their options. I always practically beg my clients, please keep looking for a job as you're looking at franchise business ownership. I'm not, one thing you'll learn about me is I'm never going to ask you, you can buy a franchise. I'm not a salesperson, ever. There's wonderful salespeople out there. Instead, what I do is I work with you to help you identify your goals. What's important to you? What's your life? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to achieve? What are your transferable skills? And then we look at franchising specifically as an option. Of our portfolio, I think we're up to about 250 different options. Only 4% of our options have anything to do with food. So we don't have McDonald's or Subway in our portfolio. So we have franchises in 35 different industries, things like kids, seniors, pets, travel, home improvement, home restoration. You get the idea. Huge variety of options available. There's no cost to working with me. So if you happen to end up in something, then that's how I get paid. But at all times, I'm on your side of the table, helping you figure out what's best for you. So I put my contact information, including a link to an interview I did with Jessica. It's I just put that in the chat a little bit ago. Hopefully that will come through. And I know that, that Bree and the team will put my contact information there again as well. Let me give you some stories of my clients. I had a client recently that I was talking to. I started working with him. There's my contact information. Thank you so much. So you see my email, my personal website, my LinkedIn profile. Please take a look at all of those. I will also make sure that you have my link to my online calendar, so you can take a look at that. I worked with a client. He came to me. He was in the hospitality industry and was working insane hours. Those of you who have been in the hospitality industry just know what a tough business it can be. He was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. He was being taken on trips with his bosses, massive, no expenses spared for business trips, 5-star hotels, private jets, all that stuff. The end of the trip, his bosses were saying, great, to pay for this trip, we need to cut the salaries of our lowest paid employees. And that just broke his heart. It's like, this is ridiculous. These people are barely making as it is. Why am I having to cut their salaries? So we looked at a bunch of different options for him. He was one of these people who was very skeptical of me and of the process, and thought, this is weird. I don't want to buy a franchise. But he says, I'm willing to keep an open mind. I'm so miserable. I want to see what else is out there. We looked at a bunch of different franchises. He ended up in a franchise, and I called him the other day, and he says, I wake up smiling every single day. He says, I love what I do. I'm building something for myself. I'm building a team. I get to be the manager that I've always wanted to manage me. I'm building a business that I can pass on to my kids. And that's just what makes me so excited. I had another client that was moved from Southern California. He moved up to Oregon, as it turns out. And his bosses told him to move, said, you have to move. So he uprooted his family. He moved to Oregon. 6 months later, said, nope, you know what? We've changed our mind. And he's like, wait a second. I just moved here for you guys. This is not fair. And he's like, I can't do that. So he had to travel back and forth to Southern California. His bosses were so frustrating. He was so upset and so frustrated. So we started looking at options for him. And what happened was that he started to get clearer and clearer and clearer what was important to him. And what happened then, which was fascinating, is that he started talking to a vendor, his favorite vendor, and said, I'm not happy, I'm looking. And this vendor said, great, sign me up. I want to hire you. We love your work. We want to hire you. So he started going down that path, got an offer from that vendor doing exactly what he wanted, and he still chose to go into a franchise. He still decided to say, this is what the right path for me. I want to own my own business. I want to control my destiny. I want to do what I have. So he got his dream job offer, or what would have been his dream job offer just a few months before. And he found this as an option for him, and he's thrilled too. And another client, same thing happened. He got clear on what was important to him, found a franchise that he was really excited about, and then his dream offer came. And you know what? He took that dream offer, because it's all about what's best for you, and whether you end up in a franchise or not. And he was so grateful to me. He's like, thank you, Anna, for working with me, because I really got clear on what's important to me. What am I looking for? And the last time I checked with him, he's just loving his new job, which is terrific. So I have lots and lots and lots of stories like that. I have a story of a client recently who we worked together, and I gave him some franchise options to explore. And he was very quiet on that call, which was very unusual for him. And the next call, he says, Anna, I have to be honest with you. He says, I hated those options you gave me. Hated them. I hated you, he said. I hated you. I thought you hadn't listened to me. I thought, you didn't take anything into account, he said, but I had promised to have one conversation with each of the franchises, and I did. Sure enough, one of them not a good fit for me, and that's great. But the other two were nothing like I expected. And he ended up in a franchise and is just blowing away sales numbers, and says he's never been happier in his life. So who do I take on as a client? I want to make sure I'm a good fit for you just as much as you're a good fit for me. So I look for people who have that fire in the belly to see what else is out there. On my previous slide, it talked about battered career syndrome. Battered career syndrome is so prevalent for so many people. I know I faced it. I got so sick of the awful bosses. I got so sick of making lots and lots of money for other people. I got so sick of not being the golden child, the number one. All of that stuff for politics. I got sick of the working insane hours only to get, if I was lucky, a 4% raise at the end of the year. I got so sick of that. And I said, there's got to be something else. And so I looked around and looked at a bunch of different franchises and ultimately chose the Entrepreneur Source. So I am a franchise business owner. The franchise I own is helping people explore franchising as an option. So it's very sort of circular that way, but it works really well. So I look for people who have that fire in the belly. They've got that desire to see what's out there. I look for people who can identify or start to identify what their dreams and their goals are. What's the most important thing to them? What kind of income do they want? What kind of lifestyle is important to them? Do they want to build a business that's going to generate equity so that they can pass it on to their kids or their grandkids? I had a client once who said, I want my franchise to be my grandkids' first job. And I said, that's wonderful. What about oh, we'll talk about that in a second, the costs in a second. Thanks, Rebecca. What I said, well, how old are your grandkids that you want them to this to be their first job? And he goes, well, the oldest one is 6. I was like, well, okay, that's planning ahead. Good for you. Good for you. So I look for people who have a desire to explore. It's the number one thing for me. Notice I did not say, I'm going to check your bank account. Notice I did not say I'm going to run your credit score. That's irrelevant to me. The only people I cannot get funded, in which case, honestly, franchise business ownership is not the right fit. The only people I can't get funded are those who have no assets, no income, don't own their own house, don't have a 401k, have poor credit, in which case, maybe this is not the right time for you. So a lot of people, I think it was Rebecca, who had a question about the cost, and that's a very, very strong misconception. Like as I said at the beginning, McDonald's costs a couple of $1 million, $2-3 million easily, and you have to have cash. Don't even bother showing up. I don't know a lot of people who have cash, $2-3 million, and want to open a McDonald's. In reality, in our portfolio, the franchises are less than 1/10 of that. So the total first year investment is between, call it $75,000, $100,000 to $200,000. Not nothing. Don't get me wrong. I know that that seems like a lot of money to a lot of people. It is to me. I don't know if a lot of people have a couple $100,000 in their back pocket. But again, funding is very readily available. The most important thing is to keep an open mind and to be willing to explore. Just see what's out there. I haven't been paying full attention to the chat, so maybe Jessica or Bree, you can tell me if there was something, a comment or a question that I could answer or address.
No, just I was talking to people in the chat about anyone that already has side gigs or is interested in business ownership. And so that's the kind of the conversation we're having, but no specific questions right now.
Okay, terrific. Well, I need to wrap it up. Please check out my LinkedIn profile. I would love to connect with all of you. Check out my website in the chat, and I will put it in the chat again. I will put, let's see, I'll have my my calendar with there. So take a look at the calendar. Oops, there we go. And get on my calendar. Schedule a 15-minute call. I'd love to chat with all of you. No cost, no obligation. That's travel's my love language. I'm with you, Jessica. I just came back from a trip to the East Coast, and before that had a nice 3-week trip in Europe. So I'm with you on that. Anyway, I've got to, my time is up. Thank you so much. Please reach out to me, get on my calendar, go to LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I've got a couple thousand, if not more, connections. Look at my profile, look at my recommendations. And if I can help in any way, please just let me know. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Jessica.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you meeting with so many people and helping them either go into business ownership or look at different options. I would love, and we're still having some great talks in the chat. If you are doing a side gig, if you are running a business, if you're a consultant, if you do something like that, drop it in the chat. I think one of the things that's really important for people to understand in the economy that we're in and that we've been in over the last 5 years, kind of the ups and downs, multiple streams of revenue is always important. And so having something that is regularly bringing an income, it may not be your regular 9 to 5, but do you have a little side gig? Somebody had mentioned that they really enjoy sewing. And so Dawn really enjoys sewing. And so is there a little side gig? Maybe she gets on Etsy, join some Facebook groups to see what other people are doing. But there's always a way to look at different opportunities. Now, of course, franchising is a big deal and you would really have to research, search, and go through that. But there are things where you can get comfortable with business ownership by doing something and starting something small. So feel free to drop in the chat if you're doing something already and drop your LinkedIn or drop your URLs. We'd love to see that. Barbara, great. You own a duplex. That is fantastic. Live in one side and rent out the other, which pays the mortgage. Fantastic. Building wealth right there. So awesome. All right, we're going to go through a couple resources and then we will go into the breakout rooms. And so in the breakout rooms, you're going to get to talk to some of these coaches and LinkedIn coaches and resume writers, and we'll go through that. So if you do have any feedback for us, please shoot us an email. We would love to hear your feedback, and it is a gift to us. So contact@careerconnectors.org is our email address. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Okay, as far as resources go, we have a whole bunch of opportunities. One thing that we do provide at no cost is called the DISC assessment. So somebody was dropping in the chat earlier about the strengths. Strength Finders, that's a great assessment too. The one we utilize is called DISC that we're able to offer at no cost. And so you can log in to or click on the link for the DISC assessment, and it's on our website under resources, and it's about a 24-page assessment. It'll take you 10 minutes or so to take, and it will tell you things like your strengths, your ideal work environment, things like that. Also, the webinar recording. So everything about these events, the virtual events, are dropped on our website and you can go back and view them. It takes a little bit of time sometimes to get them loaded. So this call will definitely be up by tomorrow morning. Sometimes it loads the same day, but you're going to get an email from us today and it'll have all of these resources listed. So don't worry about, taking notes, finding out where they are. You check your email, you're going to get that. We are all over social media, and so would love to connect with you in that fashion as well. And I do want to thank all of our partners. And so Anna, the Entrepreneur Source, is one of our great sponsors and partners. We have the Resume Writers Council of Arizona, who are many of them are on the line today. Best Companies AZ is on the line, and Achieve, APS. We have all these wonderful sponsors that help us with the program. And I want to spend just a moment talking about Best Companies AZ. And so this organization is led by Denise Gredler, and I believe Denise is on the line. Jenna's on the line for sure from that team. And Denise and I actually worked together to launch. Hi, Denise, she is here to launch Career Connectors back in, 2009. And what the organization does is they honor and award best places to work. Now, we're located in Arizona, and so all these companies have a presence in Arizona, but they've won awards such as this. The really cool thing about these companies is not only are they best, but many of them, because they're best, because of the culture they've created, they have opportunities that are not only in person, but hybrid and completely work from home. And so there are some of the companies listed up there that have these opportunities, and Best Companies AZ will have a breakout session and you can talk to them about any of these companies that you would like and the type of culture and companies that and positions they're hiring for. So thanks Denise and Jenna for being here today. All right, so our upcoming events, you guys, we have 2 really cool hiring events coming up that are virtual. The positions that will be featured at these events are in person, hybrid, and work from home, fully remote. They have hundreds of positions open. Arizona's fastest growing industries. These are some of the, these are 5 industries in Arizona that are still growing and are growing here, but they're hiring everywhere. And so you're going to hear from companies like Achieve, Phoenix Children's Hospital, Charles Schwab, and many others. I think we have 22-ish booked for this event. And so we're also doing a special feature on artificial intelligence. And so, that's kind of one of those topics that, people aren't really, I don't know, some love it, some hate it, some are scared of it, but the reality is it's here. And so we're going to do a special feature on artificial intelligence and what it means to hiring jobs and the industries, because some companies have really grasped onto it and are hiring people that understand it. And I have to tell you, from a learning perspective, I started learning about artificial intelligence about like 6 weeks ago max. And I feel like I'm on the cutting edge, and I've gone through some trainings, and it does not take long to learn this stuff. So whatever it is you're interested in, dive in, take the action, and start learning about it. And you can be an expert as well. I'm not an expert in AI, by the way, but I'm learning. All right. And then we're doing on August 29th, another hiring event specific to the industry of transportation, supply chain, warehousing type of positions. We have Amazon on the line, Sunset, Dexcom, or Sun State Equipment, Dexcom, and we'll have about 20 total companies for that event too. And then September 7th is one of our signature events. It is Red Hot Resumes. We take 3 professional certified resume writers and we do a panel with them. And so we ask all the questions we hear all year long about what should I include on my resume? What should I not include? But this person said I should include this. How do I get through the applicant tracking system? I feel like my resume goes into a black hole and I never see it again. Anyone never responds to me. Those are the questions we're asking. That is why I want you to be at this event. So Thursday, September 7th, again, this is a virtual event, and all are welcome to attend. AZ Careers Now is all of the hiring events we've been doing. It's in partnership with the Greater Phoenix Chamber. So AZ Careers Now is another website that you have access to, and you may go into to get resources at any time. Also, I want you guys to thank our volunteers. We are a staff of 3, and everybody else are volunteers. And so we run these programs all month long. All of our resources online. We have some new volunteers today that are coaches. So how about a quick round of applause? Thank you, virtual. This is my virtual clap. Thank you to all of the wonderful volunteers that, it's just one of those things that I'm so, so grateful for, because when we say we have volunteers, these are expert volunteers. They are experts in their field. So it's not like we picked up somebody that hired somebody 3 times, or, did 3 interviews for somebody and called them an interview coach. These are experts in their field. We're bringing you the best of the best. And so I encourage you to stay and meet with them in the breakout sessions in just a few minutes. If you are interested in volunteering, whether to be one of these coaches, if you are a coach, or to do administrative work or marketing or digital media or whatever, let us know, careerconnectors.org/volunteer. We run on volunteers. And because we are not a 501c3 nonprofit, we do a couple campaigns throughout the year. And so you will see occasionally, hey, if you're interested in donating, we would love your donation. Of course, we're not asking today. We just want you to know that when you do land, and if you can, we would love for you to pay it forward and provide a donation back to Career Connectors so we can continue our project, our program, and our passion to do this to serve people that are in need. And I am so grateful you all are here. I'm going to pass it over to Bree. Bree is our amazing event director that's been with us for 2 years. And by the way, her birthday was yesterday. So, you can drop happy birthday to her in the chat if you'd like. She's one of my favorite people. But she is going to walk us through. And by the way, she probably hates that I said that, but she's going to walk us through breakout sessions. But I want you all to know that myself and my team, we are praying for you that you land into the career of your dreams. Thank you so much for being here today.